Welcome back to Combust Astrology. My name's Liv. Let's go ahead and cover Jupiter and Cancer for Virgo risings. So you guys have definitely been going through it. In the past year alone, you guys have been having a lot. So Jupiter was in your 10th house. Uranus has been in your ninth for a little bit. Saturn was in your descendant. And then, most importantly, Pluto touched base in your 6th house. And now Uranus is about to step in there, but we're covering Jupiter. So Jupiter is leaving your 10th house of career. So basically you got busy. There's a lot of stuff to be done. A lot of things were changing. The home, the family life, all of that was changing as Saturn was trekking through your 7th house and teaching you how to let things go unless you're going to get sick or you're going to have diseases and stuff. You realize family stuff. So traveling, who you are, and also the relationships that you have with people were all being tested because it all came down to your career, especially when we look at Jupiter. Now, Jupiter itself is moving away from that 10th house about what it is that you think you want to do. Multitasking, trying to be X, Y, and Z, here, there, everywhere. Jupiter in Gemini is the reduction of faith and the desire to essentially prove yourself in every aspect, right? And so in the 10th house, here, you're trying to prove yourself to show the world that you truly are capable, that you truly can advance, right? And then wherever you have Mercury in your chart will further emphasize that. But the Mercurials are without hope. Meanwhile, what it is that you want, which is long-term commitment and peace and fun in the home life, need faith. So you have to take a leap, which means that the square that happens between these would require that you kind of sacrifice a little bit of the career, because if not, you're just going to be completely drowned in everything. You had a lot of opportunities, but you didn't need to touch every single opportunity. And that's like the most concise way of really breaking this down. Now, as we do look at Jupiter as it's going into Cancer, your chart requires that you actually can sit still, that you can actually heal yourself, that you can actually slow down. You don't need to do as much, right? This is a different energy. It's relaxed. It's calm. It's poised. You want to have friendships and relationships that are going to heal you and be there for you. Because when we look at the other side of what's going on, Uranus is going to go right into that 10th house. So it was essential that Jupiter came in first, so that way you could get all the stuff you needed to get, so that way when things come now, you know exactly what it is you need to grab. It's like it's like the mini storm before the actual tornado or tsunami, whatever. But when we come back to Jupiter and Cancer, it's really just about being relaxed. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. With Jupiter in Cancer, we get to heal for a little bit the water sign houses. And for you, that's your descendant, and then also your 3rd house. Your 3rd house being the house of communication, would you look at that? Your 10th house has Gemini, where Gemini usually wants to be in the 3rd. There's an inconjunct here between these. So Gemini wants to learn everything. So does Scorpio. But Gemini doesn't have the depth that Pluto brings Scorpio. It has the ability to multitask, not exactly the Mars that Scorpio has, but people with this rising analyze, they critique, they look to make better, they advance, right? The square to that 6th house is constantly trying to change. The trine to the 10th is making things better. They're like CEOs. But during this period of time, it's not about being a CEO. It's about saying what you truly need and observing about what's happening in your public life, especially if you have placements here in that 10th house. How are people treating you? The descendant, having Pisces, will go on to help this 11th house establish spiritual friendships and connections. Being friends with people that actually care about you and not just trauma bonding from previous stuff that, you 8th house in Scorpio, 8th house being ruled by Mars is a little adjacent to sexual assault, but you really want to kind of look at the 3rd house here, because that's the key thing, I think. If you establish good boundaries and you can establish the ability to trust again, then the rest of this chart works out really well. Because now you'll just be able to connect with people in a way that will give you more deep connections. Doesn't all have to be romantic, but it's spiritually healing. And that's the point of Jupiter going through this chart. As you move away from this, Jupiter will then enter into your 12th house in Leo. That's a big one. That's an upgrade. But before we get to that, the way that Jupiter and Saturn square in your chart, it's important that you can now allow the healing of what's happened younger years. The younger version of you needs to heal all that. Can't go around trying to still process without looking at what's happened in that childhood. It's really important that you do that. So, with that being said, Jupiter opposing the 5th house, you guys are workaholics. And I know a few of you personally. It's just always a job. Just always something. Relax. Pluto's no longer in your 5th house. You can have fun now. You don't have to hustle. Pluto in the 5th house, and it's in Capricorn, was not letting you guys have anything. Nothing. Not a thing. But now you can. Now you can have whatever you want. Don't forget that. You don't have to sacrifice. Enjoy what's in front of you without feeling the need to go and be perfect and create more and more. So I just want you to remember that. There is such a thing as peace. There is such a thing as happiness. And you can have that. All right. Well, that's pretty much it for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.